In this episode, we take a look at G.I. Joe figures with the most awesome accessories between the years 1985 and 1986. So, stick around. Hello and welcome to Days of Dorker Past. My name's Rob, and like I said, in this episode we're going to take a look at even more G.I. Joe figures that had the most awesome accessories. This time we're going to take a look at the years of 1985 and 1986. 1985, to me, seems like the banner year for G.I. Joe. The Sunbow cartoon was in full swing, and a lot of these characters were given great personalities through the cartoon and through the comic books at the time. One of the most iconic images from 1985 was the poster, where you have all the G.I. Joe characters lined up in front of a mountain range with the words G.I. Joe sculpted into the side. I remember having that iconic image on a kite that I had hanging in my room. I never once flew it, but it hung in my room proudly and majestically. Anyway, we're here to talk about the figures, so let's kick things off with number one on the list, and that's Alpine. The accessories that made Alpine the most awesome were his grappling hooks, his grappling gun, his little submachine gun that was awesome, and he had a backpack with a little thing on the back that could hold this awesome climbing pickaxe that he had. That was all gear that you could interchange with any of your other Joes, and it had tremendous replay ability. Number two on the list is Barbecue. What an awesome designed figure to begin with. I mean, who would have thought an orange-clad G.I. Joe figure would look so awesome? He had a great helmet, and the accessories that made him cool, I mean, his backpack with his little fire extinguisher nozzle with hose was pretty neat, but it was the fire axe. That's where it was all at. You had this awesome hatchet with a fist guard over it it actually had spikes. You got to see him use this in some of the Joe comics as he smashed in doors and also cockpits of Cobra vehicles to get to the tasty meat inside. Number three on the list is probably one of the most iconic G.I. Joe figures to date, and that is the second version of Snake Eyes. What made this character cool, besides the awesome character design, was his sword. Based on like a scimitar type design, his sword fit into a backpack, and he came with his famous Uzi. But, even awesomer, he came with his wolf Timber. A great sculpted little wolf that could take down any Cobra that it came across. Let me throw in an honorable mention real quick as we're talking about swords. Quick Kick, great figure, but his nunchucks we'd seen before with Storm Shadow, and his sword, albeit very cool, was very flimsy, and it usually got bent up when he tried to put it in his backpack. But he's here as an honorable mention. And while we're talking about honorable mentions, let me just throw in Shipwreck. His only problem was his little type of flintlock pistol that he came with, but Polly was what made this character have a great accessory, and Shipwreck's just awesome no matter which way you cut it. Anyway, back to the list. As we get away from G.I. Joe for 1985, we jump right into Cobra. And number four on the list is the Dreadnought Buzzer. What Buzzer came with that made him the most awesome was his chainsaw. Built more like a rifle, his chainsaw had a stock and a handle, and it was diamond bladed, so it could chop through anything. Add that on top to his bladed nunchuck, there was no stopping him. Number five on the list is the Eels. As a generic troop builder for Cobra, you can't get much better than the Eels. His oxygen tank backpack came with jets that could help propel him through the water. He came with flippers that were awesome, and he came with a double-barreled harpoon gun. Dude, that is awesome. Top that all off with a great designed figure, and Cobra was destroying the waterways. Number 6 on the list is the Dreadnought Ripper. Coming with a pair of jaws of life to help destroy any vehicle that gets in his way. What's even cooler than that is his rifle with an axe-bladed bayonet underneath. Slung across his back is an awesome power pack motor compressor unit that powered the jaws of life, or in his case, the jaws of death. Did I speak too soon when I said the Cobra Eels were one of the best Cobra troop builders of the year? No. Number 7 on the list is the Snow Serpent. Packed full of accessories, the Snow Serpent came with snowshoes that any Joe or any Cobra could use, an anti-tank missile that came with a stand, a parachute pack that went around his midsection, an awesome AK-47, and an awesome backpack that was chock full of details of the survival gear that the Snow Serpent would need. One of my favorite figures. I love the face mask on these dudes, and I love all the fur embellishment that they molded onto this awesome figure. As we close out 1985, we go into 1986 with number 8 on the list, Lifeline. What made Lifeline's gear awesome was his EMS pack. It was a big white briefcase that could open up, and inside of it you saw oxygen tanks and other gear that he would need to help pull out any Joe taken out in the line of duty. He had an oxygen mask that could plug into it that you could help save any Joe in distress. Couple that with an awesome communications backpack and a cool handgun. The only funny thing is, Lifeline was a pacifist, so the handgun, it could go to anyone on your team. He didn't need it. Number 9 on the list, I'm prepared to take some flack for. But he's a personal favorite. I love the color scheme. I love the sculpt. And he's a great Navy SEAL. Granted, he didn't come with any firepower whatsoever. But what he did come with was flippers, which could be used with anybody in the line of action, an awesome sea sled that helped propel him through the water, a flashlight which helped him see in the darkest, murkiest depths, and a great backpack to hold his oxygen tanks. Like I said, I might get some flack, but I just really dig this character. Now, number 10 on the list, we go back to Cobra for the last entry, and that is the Bats. The Battle Android Troopers. How awesome were they? What accessories make them the best are their interchangeable hands. He came with a normal hand attachment, a flamethrower attachment, a laser gun attachment, and an awesome grabber attachment. What was cool is the ones that weren't in use fit on little posts in his backpack. Awesome. You could keep everything together. He was always ready for action, and there was no stopping him when he was on the battlefield. Believe me, there were some figures in these years that had some really unique weapons. But I just couldn't add them to the list because that's all they had, one unique weapon. You had Thrasher with the Dreadnoughts that had his lacrosse stick with spiked ball attachment. And you had someone like the Fridge that had a Morning Star type of football bashing instrument of death. That is pretty cool. On top of that, you had some iconic weapons, like the Crimson Guard's bayoneted AK-47, or Leatherneck's over-under M203 M16. To me, that is a great weapon because that allowed me to relive my Predator fantasies. So I had to keep the list short and sweet. Let me know what you think. Let me know what some of your favorite accessories were between the years of 1985 and 1986. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you got something to say, hit me up in the comments and tell me what you're thinking. If you want to see more content like this and great nostalgia trips, subscribe. And hit the little bell if you want to be notified once a week when a new episode drops. Until then, thank you for watching. My name's Rob, and this has been Days of Dorker Past. Keep being rad, stay dorky, and I'll see you next time.